Live from Hollywood, California, VJ Vernon Husky, the Big Vanilla Funnies, Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Oh, that's what y'all gonna hit me with to start the show? Okay. Tell him, Ralph. Tell him, Ralph. Oh, that's how y'all gonna start? That's the man. Yeah, man, stop. Y'all gonna get me in trouble. We ain't supposed to be playing this, man. You know how YouTube be acting, man. What's going on, everybody, man? VJ Vernon Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny. Welcome on Sportsmanlike Conduct. We are live right now. Platforms. iHeartRadio, I want to say what's up to everybody over on my IG, the Big Vanilla Funny. I appreciate you. And then also everybody that is on YouTube and on my my feed with YouTube and the feed with StreamYard. Sorry, StreamYard. So y'all know what it is, man. Great sports talk. We always bring you guys over here. I got a lot to talk about. I hadn't done this show in about a week or so. So I was like, you know what? I got to get on. I got to get on the air. I got some stuff I want to talk about. A lot going on with the NBA. I did make a proclamation that I would not talk anymore NBA. And first of all, hold up. I'm sorry. I didn't even really truly do my introduction and introduce myself as I do because I'm so excited to get into these topics. I'm so excited what's been happening in my career on a professional sports talk level lately. So I'm sorry. What's going on, everybody, man? I want to welcome everybody to VJ's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, live on Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio. Also, we are live right now on Instagram, IG, and on YouTube and StreamYard. I'm your host, VJ Vernon Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Big Vanilla Shaq, the Blue Eye Barkley, the Creamy Kobe, the Vanilla Mamba. That's a new one. The Big Vanilla Color Card, because sometimes in sports you got to play the color card, and when you do, I'm your Big Vanilla dealer all day long. VA's Top Talk Boy and Mr. Never Shut Up. I want to thank everybody for joining, and I had to do that for a fan who told me they heard me on Fox Sports Radio co-hosting with Chris Broussard a few weeks ago, and he said he had loved that I had all those nicknames, where I get them from. I was like, I'm a comedian. You guys that follow me know that I'm a 20-year stand-up comedian, started back in D.C., Northern Virginia area, doing my thing, opening up for all the big-name comedians in that area at that time, and that's just part of my personality, part of my humor. It's just I'm a stand-up comedian, so I'm always looking to have fun, make up silly little sayings and silly little names. But I do believe everything that I'm saying. So great show lineup for you guys today, man. I want to talk optics in sports. I want to talk about the Hall of Fame coming up for pro football in Canton. I actually might be there. I will guarantee myself I will be there next year because I am close to grabbing my media credentials for the NFL, which will allow me basically into any press conference that I have media credentials for my outlet to be able to come in and ask questions for pregame, postgame, and things of that nature. I'm sure there's some provisions I will have to follow or pay for, what have you. That part I haven't gotten as far. Just once I get the credential in my hand, then I say, okay, now that I got it, where can I go? Like, what can I do with it? Now that I have this, all right, okay, it's like when you get your degree, right? When you get your degree, the first thing is like, okay, now that I got this, now what can I go do? I shouldn't be right where I am. I got this. You said I need this. You know, paper in life in America. Everybody needs paper, right? Whether it's green, whether it's got a stamp with a seal and a big-time college name arched over it, still paper. You wrote on a lot of paper for it. You know what I'm saying? It costs a lot of green paper that they print in this country and tell us time and time again they owe so much and we're in this deficit, which I tell people all the time. It's not about money. We're in deficit with like oil and gold. We're not in deficit with money. We print money. If I could print money, I would never owe anybody. I could print it. It's like I would never buy weed if I grew my own weed. I would never buy liquor if I made moonshine, or black people back in the 80s and 70s used to call it Ripple. So if I'm making my own Ripple, I don't need your Hennessy. Hennessy's overpriced anyway. So a lot going on in sports. NBA Finals. I won't talk too much basketball because I don't know how excited I am about the finals. I don't know how excited I am about the NBA. We will talk a little NBA because I want to talk about Team USA. And I understand it's just exhibition games, but I do want to go back and retract to something that I've been saying for like 6 or 7 years, that we are so blinded by, people just don't pay attention. We are so blinded by what is put in front of us, whether it's through broadcasting, media, print, internet, social media. We don't pay attention anymore, and the truth be right in front of us. The truth about the NBA has always been right in front of us. We're just not paying attention. I want to start the show off with my rant today is about the optics in sports. And the reason why I wanted to do this topic and start off this way today, because I think the Sha'Carri Richardson story should be a dead issue. But because TMZ saw her at LAX and because she was at the ESPYs and then she did another interview, it's almost like, what my opinion of it is like, where the hell is her circle? Where's her people's at? Somebody should have been grabbed her and said, put your phone down, let's get out of here. You're not going to the ESPYs. Sorry, you're not. There's going to be so many more ESPYs to go to. You're not a presenter. You're not getting an award or anything. Why are you doing that? Why are you putting yourself out there like that? And the reason why her name keeps coming up is because she failed the drug test and she can't go to Tokyo, which now no fans can go to Tokyo because they're on like color orange. I believe it's over there in Japan as far as COVID is concerned. The cases have risen. They won't let any fans at the games. So she was trying to go to the Olympics, got caught smoking weed, peed dirty. You're suspended 30 days. Then the 4x1 team did not pick her up. Okay, so now you're not really going. Because she had a shot to still go to the Olympics if she was going to be on the 4x1 team. Probably racing against Jamaica for the gold medal. The Bahamas will be right there. France is the fast team also, too. So they're Great Britain. There's 4 or 5 women 4x1 teams that are fast, but I think USA with her and USA just period and Jamaica are the 2 fastest 4x1 teams. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price is going to win the 100 for Jamaica. She has the world's fastest time right now. She's the fastest woman on the planet. I think hers is the 10.63, 10.62, something like that. Just a second faster than some men. Half a second slower. A full second slower, but half a second slower than some men. She's fast. So she's keeping herself relevant. But then recently, the Ricky Williams interview came out. And I'm a big Dolphin fan. I'm a big college football guy. I loved Ricky Williams at Texas. I remember when he was getting recruited coming out of the state of Texas and went to UT and had like the 4 dreads. Remember when his joint looked like somebody just put beef jerky in his hair and just bent it over, just like 4 or 5 beef jerkies and bent it over. I'm clowning because I'm a comedian. I can get away with that, so I don't want to hear none of y'all dumb shit. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Like when his dreads first started, he had like 3. And they were kind of lost. Like, hold up, bro. How'd you start them? Because where the rest of them? Where the rest of them at? That's a real odd growth. But 5'10 and a half, 220, fast, aggressive, elusive. One of the greatest college running backs of all time. He was so great. There was a GM one time and a head coach that thought to trade the entire draft to get that one guy, and I'm done for the weekend. Bad decision because it hurt the franchise, but you did get Ricky in there and you did get production out of him, but he exploded when he got to South Beach in Miami and the constant warm weather and all the weed you want. Ricky Williams exploded for Miami. And we'll get into his stats and we'll get into his career a little later. But because of the optics, this is going to wrap back around to Ricky Williams. And this is a Barry Horowitz situation for myself right now. That's an old 80s WWE reference. For you guys that know who Barry Horowitz is, what up? If you don't, he was a guy who used to pat himself on the back when they announced his name. He was a jobber. A jobber wrestler is a guy who shows up and loses to the bigger name all the time. Like never wins. But lives the lifestyle, travels. He's part of the roster. He's just a jobber. They don't have jobbers nowadays. Everybody's got a name, but you still lose and win matches. But back then there were guys that never won. He was a jobber. But this is a period for me to kind of just pat myself on the back and go, God, I used to tell people this. I used to say this at the barbershop. I used to say this when I was a barber cutting hair. I used to say this when I first started doing local access radio and local access television in Farmington, Connecticut at Nutmeg TV. I used to say this exact same thing of what he was doing and how he was feeling. And sometimes you can I believe God has given me a gift within life that I've just transferred to sports talk, that my senses are really keen on personality traits and the way people act. If you just watch people, they'll tell you who they are if you just watch them. Don't listen, just watch them. All you gotta do is watch them. Sometimes, watch, keep your mouth closed. Grandma used to say you got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Which ones do you think you should be using more? Your eyes and ears. Look around, hear things, watch things. Don't talk so much, but I didn't get that part right because I talked all the damn time. But I used to say the same stuff that now is coming out about Ricky Williams. So to wrap this back around to the beginning of optics, the optics of sports is what's great about sports and what makes it great about sporting debate. Because normally optics is another word for optics is perception, vision, the way you see things, the optic of things. And I got a bunch of athletes that I wrote down. And I want to talk about optics because I want to wrap it back around to Ricky Williams and how the optics pretty much killed his career and ran him out of the league. Ricky Williams didn't strike a woman. Ricky Williams wasn't caught drunk driving and hit and killed somebody, or DWI or DUI, whatever it was. But he didn't do that. Ricky Williams has never been arrested for domestic violence. He has never been arrested for anything. He has never been. He probably even had the police called on him. All he did was puff some trees, and because the optics were what it were and the way they were allowed to do that to him. It's hard for me to believe that if I was another tone of an athlete, skin tone of an athlete, it would have been much different. So when you look at the optics of sports, I like to look at how things are looked at as opposed to like how things truly are. Michael Jordan 6-0 in the finals. He has 6 MVPs. He is still the top shoe seller in the world. He hasn't shot a basket for a team in over 20 years. He hasn't played any basketball whatsoever. He is still the icon of icons, not when it comes to basketball, but when it comes to sports, and nobody is close. Nobody's close in certain industries. He's Steve Jobs. You know what I'm saying? He's Bill Gates. Nobody's close to Bill Gates in his industry. Nobody's close to Elon Musk. Nobody's close to Jobs. Nobody's close to Bezos. Bezos, how you pronounce the Amazon guy's name? Excuse me if I mispronounced it. But nobody's close to those guys. Nobody's close to Jordan. So the optics are, he's the greatest to ever do it. He's the greatest to ever do it off the court because he doesn't even really, shit just sells. And now he's getting deals with universities where he's outfitting teams. He's kicking Adidas to the side. He's kicking Under Armour to the side. And we're putting a Jumpman on that football jersey that's going to be on Saturday night. We're Jumpman gloves and wristbands. I'm a Michigan fan. Michigan is sponsored by Jumpman. It's Jordan shit. They got a big Jordan emblem, big gold one right next to the block M, a big Jordan. I'm pretty sure they were like, yeah, you know what? We could put a Jordan emblem on the big house. Yeah. Go ahead, sign that. The optics are he's the best to ever do it. And then the proof in the pudding, I don't eat no damn pudding. You guys know that, is that he's the best to ever do it. You look at a guy like Derek Jeter, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I like Derek Jeter. I'm a Derek Jeter fan. I'm a Derek Jeter fan on and off the diamond. But I recently have figured and kind of decided that I don't think I see Derek Jeter, the player, as far as game changer that a lot of other people. I thought he was just a piece that fit in with a great team. He got it. He's the guy that just got it. He kept his mouth shut. He wasn't in the press. His laundry list of the opposite sex is like, yeah, it's a laundry list of laundry lists. But he was able to stay away from a lot of bullshit and a lot of stuff. And he showed up every single day and did his job. But the Yankees also had dominant pitching for a decade. Power hitters in the third and fourth spot for a decade. The best closer in the game. For a great 14, 15-year consecutive run. All Derek Jeter really did have to do was show up, lead off. He's a great player. So you know how to do your job. He's a leadoff guy. Derek Jeter, number 2, captain. Derek Jeter. I'm not saying any other guy could have, but Ozzie Smith, Cal Ripken. People used to say all the time, put Cal Ripken at the leadoff for the Yankees of that run. Even as an older guy, he broke the consecutive game streak in baseball. He just never missed a day. Derek Jeter was so consistent, and that's why he's 5-1. The optics, though, are that Derek Jeter was like the man, and why they won, why they were so good. No, that's not really true. Once again, dominant pitching for a decade. Dominant catching for a decade. And the world's best closer in the history of the game for 15 straight years. Career over 300 batting average. I think it's like 306 or 307. Cool, but not hard, man, when you got Strawberry and A-Rod and Giambi Teixeira. Through his entire career, he just had monsters in a lineup behind him. Guys like Scott Boras, if you go back to that run they had when they had David Wells, who pitched the perfect game, and then you got Roger Clemens, and you had Mussina, and you had Andy Pettitte. Like the optics, though, are that Derek Jeter, he's one of the main reasons. I don't know. One of the reasons, yeah, because you need everybody, but one of the main reasons, Derek Jeter could have blew his ACL out one year, and one of those World Series years, they'd have still won the World Series. He could have blew his ACL out in June and missed the rest of the year. They would have still won the World. They would have still won the World Series. They did not win the World Series because Derek Jeter. They lost one, right? But the optics will tell you that Derek Jeter is the main reason. I think differently. Tom Brady. 7-3 in Super Bowls, 10 Super Bowls. He is number one in touchdowns all time, 581. Number two in yards, 79, 204. Number two in completions at 67, 78. How can anybody see this any more different than he is the GOAT of quarterbacks of all time? I understand Joe Montana is undefeated in Super Bowls and has no interceptions in the playoff. I get that. They also didn't throw that much. He was running a West Coast offense where there isn't a lot of interception opportunity because there is a lot of 1, 2, 3, go, 1, 2, release. Yes, there's some intermediate and some deep balls, but once you're working underneath, and then you're also throwing to Roger Craig, who was the first 1,000 back in NFL history, 1,000 yards on the ground, 1,000 yards receiving. Tom Rathman, old school fullback with the neck roll on because his neck is as thick as a tire, leading the way. Brett Jones at tight end. Matt Mullen and Matt Millen and the rest of the guys that were all pro and pro bowlers on the offensive line. John Taylor, and I didn't even get to Jerry Rice. I get that. But Tom Brady is 7-3. He's played in 10 Super Bowls. If somebody had told you 25 years ago there's going to be a guy who's going to play in 10 Super Bowls in a 20-year span, you'd have said, no, there's no way. There's no way he's doing that. There's no way nobody's going to 10 Super Bowl. There's franchises that have never been to one. Cleveland, never been to a Super Bowl. Jacksonville, never been to a Super Bowl. Detroit, never been to a Super Bowl. And I think there's one more. I think that's it. It might be never been to a Super Bowl. The Browns have never been. The Lions have never been. And Jacksonville's never been. I think those are the three franchises. If I'm missing one, somebody hit up the link and let me know if I'm missing one. But I think that's it as far as Super Bowl. So you don't think somebody's gonna go to 10 of them and be 7-3? And in one of the losses, he threw for 500 yards. And only in one other one, he had Randy Moss. And the Giants just did their thing. David Tyree, come on. Ronnie Harrison is a possible Hall of Fame player and it might be in the Hall already. I think Ronnie Harrison might already be in the Hall. I don't know if I agree with that, but I think Ronnie Harrison is already in the Hall. I'll double check that. I'm excited to talk about some of the Hall stuff too a little later on. But Tom Brady, in two of the Super Bowls, come on. What are you going to do? That's not him. He didn't throw a pick. He didn't throw the game away. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't make the big mistake. But you have people that use the optics of, the defenses, this, and the field goal kickers won those games for him. Really? So the field goal kickers block, tackle, pass rush, deflected passes, intercept passes, recovered fumbles, snapped the ball, kickers. No, a kicker does one thing, especially on field goals. He goes out there, he takes a back step, steps two to the left or to the right, if he's left or right footed, and snap the ball, and goes and kicks it. And goes and kicks it. That's it. That's all a kicker does on field goals. Punter comes, snap, kick. Hopefully you guys get down there and make the tackle so I don't have to. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to have to. I'm going to pick up the tee. Oh, when there's a punt, there's no tee, but I'm going to jog right off the field. I'm going to be fine. You're telling me you're giving credit for kickers for winning Super Bowls? And I love kickers. Kickers are important. You need them. They're part of the 53-man roster. You need a kicker. And your kicker is super important. Your punter, field position, flipping the field. Defensive struggle type games, you better have a kicker. You better be able to run the football, stop the run, or have a kicker. You got those things and you don't make stupid penalties, you're probably going to win that football game. If you're in a football game, an NFL game, or a college game, and you're stopping and running, you're able to run the football, but maybe you can't score, but you're able to run a little bit. You're stopping and run. You're not doing stupid turnovers and getting stupid penalties. And you have a great punter who can, even when you get 3 yards on the drive from your own 20, so you're punting from the line of scrimmage is 23, so you're punting from the 17, the 18, punting from the 15. But if you got a kicker that can put 50, 60 yards on that ball, that flips the field. You got a kicker, if you can get down into the red zone or you could get to field goal range that can knock through a 52-yarder. By the way, I don't think any kicker in the NFL should miss a kick under 45 yards unless there's wind or there's some type of nature that's going on, some type of natural nature, natural disaster, high winds or some shit that's going on where you can't make a kick. It's like NBA players in the NBA. How doesn't the whole league shoot 75% or higher? Like, how are the dudes shooting like 69% from the free throw line? How? It's one shot, it's two shots, 1, 2, or 3. And no one can guard you. No one can do anything. No one can block it. No one can do anything. And you got guys that can't make them. It baffles me. Oh, you think you would do better? Yeah, I honestly, I do think I would do better because I would practice it. If you're a kicker, all you better do is just kick. You should not be missing kicks under 45 yards. And listen, the tough, rigid part of me wants to say 50. In today's game, you can't jump over, you can't rush over the center anymore, so you have a clean line of sight. Whether you got a fade or you got a draw, you got a clean line of sight of where you need to kick the ball. All you got to do is just lift on it and get it up. Don't kick it left or right because those guys can jump and those guys can come and you guys come off the edge. But no one can jump over the center anymore. They gave you a tunnel. They gave you an alley. I see guys miss 5, 6 kicks. I'd cut the shit out of a kicker that missed 5 or 6 kicks. 42-yarder miss, shanked. 31-yard, 30. Are you what? Extra points? What? You missed an extra point? Get out of here. Kickers didn't help. They didn't win nothing for Tom Brady. They did their job. But if you don't have Tom Brady, you don't go to 10 Super Bowls. But the optics that some people try to use is that it's the kickers. Yeah, you need a defense. Everybody needs a defense. No defense is the reason why Dan Marino doesn't have a ring. Because of defense. I'm a Dolphin fan all my life. You know how many 41, 38, 35, 37, 33, 31 losses I watched in my life? When Marino goes out and throws for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns and shit, and the defense gives up 34 points. He puts 31 on the board, and defense gives up 34, and we lose to the Jets. To the fucking Houston Oilers. At home. That happened because we didn't have a defense. Gotta have a defense. Every team that's ever had a defense won a Super Bowl, or every Super Bowl winner, I should say, has won every Super Bowl winner has had a defense. Even teams that blew teams out, high octane offense, they still had a defense. The year the Rams won the Super Bowl, they had the number 2 defense, I believe. Lovie Smith was the defensive coordinator. Had the number 2 or number 1 defense in the league with the greatest show on turf. Optics. Nick Saban's another guy. When I look at things, I look at optics. The optics are he's a great recruiter. He's a great coach. He's a great football mind. He's 5, 6 national championships. He's, got Bama on the map. He passed Bear Bryant. Very, very kind of vague with the media and kind of just snarky and assholey and just as a matter of fact type, I'm smarter than every guy in the room. You guys don't get this. I do. I'm the only one that does. You guys don't type. The optics say that he's this great coach and this great guy. But when I know that colleges do what they do to get guys, and colleges are going to continue to do what they do to get guys, I'm just at the point of my career of watching Alabama at this point, not on a personal level, on a professional level. I can't believe that this many top guys, top kids want to go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm not buying that. And I'm allowed to not buy that. I'm not buying that at all. You do not have to go to the top 2 schools in the nation to play football to make it to the NFL. The point of going to the big schools in college is because you're trying to get to the league. Any player that tells you that, well, I wasn't really thinking about it when I first got to college, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if people believe that they might not be good enough or the situation that they're going to in college wouldn't help them to get there. But I do think at some point they each thought, no, I think I'm good enough to go to the league. I had a Zoom call today with Charles Woodson, and not just myself. It was a media availability, I should say it like that. So that it's not like I had the Zoom call with him. But he talked about his sophomore year, a corner at an Iowa coming out that he thought was just like, okay, it was the number 9 pick overall. I didn't go look it up because he couldn't remember the name, and none of the other media people on there, reporters and journalists, could remember the name either. So it became this like, oh man, and I can see the eyes, I can see the mind swirl, and everybody wants to, of course, get this answer to Charles Woodson. But he said when he saw that, it made him go, that dude, oh well. So I think I'm the best in the nation. So it was. That was a really cool moment with him. But just that type of confidence, the optics of it can look a little smuggy, and I think it does like that with Nick Saban. But I don't think we would ever be able to find out in today's world because things are so protected, even though things are so open at the same time, that we wouldn't find out if there were a team that was operating in college football like SMU or operating like a semi-football professional team, paying players, homes. I mean, look, the Reggie Bush stuff was just 15 years ago. And his parents got a whole damn house and jobs. I would think that that's easier to do today with the internet, with social media, home businesses. I think that would be easier. I think that would be easier to do today than it would have been back in the day when teams were, writing checks for you. Don't have to write checks. There's Cash App, there's Venmo. All you need is an email and a card that you buy from the store. You don't need ID. You don't need Social Security. You don't even need a real name. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the way it operates today. That's how I'd operate it. If I was operating under the table, operating on the side for plate, that's how I do it. Your Cash App is not Walton Johnson because that's who your real name is. Your Cash App is Chris Sheboygan, okay? And this is where we wire in the money for That's how I do it. I wouldn't do it on Front Street. No paper trail. It can be anybody's Cash App. It can be anybody's Venmo. But if there was a team that were really operating like that, they'd be getting the best players. And I believe that, I believe it happens across the board. College basketball, college football. I think the optics doesn't make it look like he's this great coach, but it's like, yeah, but we know what college football is. If you use your brain, we already know what's really up with college football. And I still love the sport. I still support the sport. I'm not bashed. It is what it is. I've morphed into that. It is what it is. When people are like, oh, well, everybody pays kids. I'm like, yeah, maybe they do. It just is what it is. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. They were saying that shit back in the 70s and 80s. You don't think they saying that now? You think they just gave up and said, all right, then, all the SEC people, let's just play across the board. Let's do it fair. Let's play across the board and play it fair. No favoritism, no money, no houses, no jobs, no women, no liquor, no moonshine, no weed for the blacks. None of that stuff. Let's just be fair. Whoever wants to go wherever they want to go, hey, may the best man win. No, this country ain't never been that on any level. I think it puts rubs off the shine a little bit off of Nick Saban simply because I just don't, I don't think he's as great as everybody else does. But the optics makes it look like is Nick Saban the greatest college coach of all time? No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not close to it. Top 10, yeah, but Nick Saban's not the greatest college coach of all time. Another one, I love this one right here. I got two more and we'll move on, but I love this one. The optics in tennis. Serena Williams has 23 Grand Slams. She has 7 Aussies. She has 3 Frenches. She has 6 U.S. Opens. She has 7 Wimbledons for a total of 23 Grand Slams of all time. Her 7 Aussies are second all time. Her 3 Frenches are tied for 5th. Her 7 Wimbledons tied for 4th. And her 6 U.S. Opens, her 6 U.S. Opens, her 6 titles there in New York, Flushing Meadows. I've been there. I've seen her play in person. Her and Venus. I've been there. 3rd all time. The optics are She's the greatest women's tennis player of all time. The fact of the matter is, because she's a woman, in my humble opinion, it actually doesn't make her the greatest woman tennis player of all times. I think her run and her dominance makes Serena Williams the greatest tennis player of all time. Not the greatest woman's tennis player. She's the greatest tennis player, male or female. And I know that's hard for some people to take. I remember one time, I won't put his name out there, but it was a guy that I was doing sports talk radio with who was working for the Clippers. And I had a sense that he may not like my people as much as he led on to, because a lot of times some people are so stupid they can't hide even the obvious that they think they're hiding. It makes it even more obvious, and people like me with a sharp mind and a sharp wit and just, you know, I peep shit fast, quick, fast, in a hurry. Get out of here! I'll whoop your ass. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Welcome with me. I'm the Mac. That's my Bernie Mac. I've been working on it. How'd you guys like it? It just came out. You guys like it? I thought it was good. Tell what you think. I'm the Mac, motherfucker. I kill you. Ain't gonna kill me. Yeah. All right. Anyway, but Serena's dominance it surpasses anything, even like any male dominance. She's been the shit for 20 years. When's that U.S. Open win? In 02, 01, when she wore the black cat suit that stopped right at, man, stop, Serena. That's when she was like, hello. I'm not Venus's little sister anymore. I'm Serena. And in contrast to, Venus has only like 5 Grand Slams. I didn't know that. She's like 7. Like 5 or 7. But like 4 Wimbledon. She's dominant and long and loves to slide on the grass and does it so perfectly and so powerful on the grass surface. She's got like 4 or 5 Wimbledons. But she's like, Serena's crushed Venus in winning. And nobody says anything, because if you cross Venus and you cross Serena, Serena's she's a spitfire. She coming at you. I'm not knocking it. It's who she is. I like it. But Serena come at you. I think a lot of times, that sometimes it could come off as whiny. It could come off as arrogant and privileged type of thing. A sore loser. I don't like sore losers. See, that's the thing with me. I don't like sore losers. So when I see people act like a sore loser, you lose a little bit for me. But I can still appreciate how great of an athlete that you are and what you do against all odds. Tennis is individual. So they've tried to, fix judges against her, and she's gone off. She threatened to stick a ball up a girl's ass. Like, she wasn't playing. That was a lot of boiling over. She had the incident where vertigo kicked in and she couldn't bounce the ball. And like, Serena, people don't understand what Serena Williams has been through. And here's the kicker. Serena's not my typical cup of tea, but once again, she's so great at what she does. I got to show her love and give her respect, especially as a black woman on top of that. Going through all of that stuff. I don't agree with everything she's done or how she's put herself out and all of that, but that's what makes me different in this industry. I can see both sides of it. I can still respect and still not be a fan, or did not respect, be a fan, or respect to be a fan, whatever combination you want to use. I'm very good at that. That's why I think my opinions come out the way they come out. Who do you know right now? Tell me. Who do you know right now is calling Serena Williams the greatest tennis player of all time? Me. Tell me somebody else that's doing it. Tell me somebody else that's calling her that. She's not the greatest female tennis player of all time. That's what the optics tell you. That's what they want you to just say. She's the greatest tennis player of all time. Last one. Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. 15 majors. 3 behind Jack at 18. The optics will tell you that Jack is still the greatest golfer ever. Everybody's got to say it and kind of co-sign it. And if you don't, then, I don't know if there's repercussions through the industry. And I'm finding out a lot of stuff about this industry. I'm finding out a lot of stuff about this industry, and it motivates me and drives me more because I want to be the different guy. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. That's too easy. It's too easy to do what everybody else is doing. I want to challenge myself, whether it's my loyalty to whatever, the network, the craft, infidelity in the workplace, infidelity, just when you're on the road with other athletes and women, and this industry, guys. When you travel, it's way more than what you see on television. Way more, and I do what I do because I like being different, and I don't want to follow the crowd. That's why I love this opinion of Serena Williams being the greatest tennis player of all time. But back to Tiger Woods real quick, too. 15 majors, 3 behind Jack. Optics tell you Jack's the best. But I look at Tiger Woods. He's got more career wins than Jack, which is first. He's got 81 of them. And the wins that he has at certain tournaments just show you his dominance. Tiger has 8 wins at the Arnold Palmer Classic, which is a very hard course and a very popular tournament. And because Arnold Palmer is a legend in this game, a lot of the top golfers get invited there or get a play. You're good enough to go and play. I'm not sure what the technical term is. My golf stuff has fallen off because Tiger's not in the game. And I'm not gonna lie, I love playing. I suck. I'm not good. I don't try to act like I'm good. I might go through on an 18 course, 18 holes. I might go through 30 balls. Seriously, I'm dead ass serious. And 20 of them is off the tee. My driver's a cut water hose, man. It sprays. It sprays, man. I sometimes I need to put a dress on my clubs because I hit a lot of hookers. I need to put a dress and a wig on my clubs, man, because nothing but hookers. But golf is a game where a lot of black people haven't been allowed to play or had the access to play. And when Tiger came along, it just pulled black people in, and it pulled a lot of people in too, because a lot of people like golf. And a lot of times people can separate color, skin, and nationality when they're really just watching that sport. But of course, we all know if that one thing messes up that doesn't look like them, then they'll crush you and drag you down. And that's what golf did to Tiger. And all Tiger was really doing was, I can't speak on, well, he tore his family apart, and yeah. There's a lot of pro athletes that do that. He wasn't the only one, and he wasn't the first one. And I already talked about one who, now the story's out, was paying $250,000 a year to take care of a side piece, and come on. So we've seen it before. Wasn't nothing new. But the Arnold Palmer Classic, Arnold Palmer is a legend in this game. A lot of top talent goes there to play. He's won that 8 times. The WGC Bridgestone, another tough course. Tough course, long, tough, a lot of sand traps, a lot of crabgrass, real tough course, man, 8 times. Buick Invitational, another, you win a car. So if you think about it, he's won 8 Buicks. And it was a sponsorship of his at the time, too. He was sponsorshipping and doing Buick commercials. So this was the tournament that might have been contractual for him to show up, and be in that tournament. The California Championship, the WGC, another tournament, 7 times. When you just look at Masters twice, the Memorial and the BMW Championship, 5, 5, 5. So he's got 5 Masters, he's got 5 green jackets. He's won the Memorial 5 times and the BMW Championship 5 times. Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer of all time. I know he hasn't caught Jack in the majors, and he put that out there. Tiger put that on himself to not only say I won 18 majors, but then I'm going to go dominate for 10, 12 years. Tiger dominated for a decade. I don't think Jack ever dominated for a decade. Not like Tiger did, because he's way past him in career wins. He's 81. That's time with Sam Snead for first place all time. Jack's not close to that. He just flat out went out and won more tournaments. And then the hard courses and the big time courses, he killed those too. 5 green jackets. I think Jack's got 6, so Jack's got him there. The Memorial, another hard course, another popular. All the top guys come there and play. You're playing the top competition. Tiger's effect on the game, man. Tiger's, that red shirt on Sunday, down 3 or 4 strokes or down 2 or 3 strokes. And you remember the interviews of the guy saying, yeah, you hear the gallery, like you hear Tiger coming. I'm up, but I'm ahead, but you hear Tiger coming. Here he comes. And he brought that to golf and was just a pop culture phenomenon. But the optics will tell you, because he messed up and got, caught up with the ladies and his business was all in the street, which was really none of our business, but we make things our business because that's just the world that we live in. You will have people that will try to say that he's not the greatest golfer of all time. And the one optic they'll use is that, his transgressions, as he said it, his skin color, and that he's 3 short of Jack. The fact of the matter, though, is he was dominant longer. He was dominant in more important, harder tournaments. He's only shy of 1 green jacket from him, which is second all time. He's got 5. Jack's got 6. 5 Memorials, 5 BMW championships. I mean, just listen to these numbers. The 8 on the Palmer, like 81 wins. 7 at the Buick, 7 at the California champ. Like, listen, this guy, he's won the British Open, the Open. When used to call it the British Open, but the Open because they use different courses out there. TPC Sawgrass, U.S. Open, Tour Championship. Like, he's won so much. How can you not call him the greatest golfer of all time when it was really just him and Jack? But the optics will tell you that it's Jack. And that's because they want to use the optics of skin tone, transgressions, and the majors. Now, I say all that to wrap that around to Ricky Williams. Because I was thoroughly upset, pissed off the way the optics pretty much ran Ricky Williams out of the NFL. And pretty much just killed his career. I mean, at one time he was playing for a Toronto CFL team and like broke his wrist. He was a shell of himself. He didn't want to run. He didn't want to play. It was like watching Mike Tyson after Mike Tyson bit Holyfield. From that point on, Mike Tyson it was sad to watch. That's why I love the comeback story, and I love the way that he lives now, and the fact that he is like a bona fide superstar again, and he figured out how to do it without having to be mean and rambunctious and doing all the shenanigans and knocking people out in public. Tyson figured out how to do it without having to do all of that, and now look at him. I mean, his money is long again. His net worth is back over $100 million. Mike is back. Mike's got his own boxing promotion that he's doing now. He's going to make money off them fighters. Like, Mike Tyson's going to be around. He'd be around for a long time. I went through a lot of stuff. Mike went through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happened to me, man. And sometimes I feel like I want to be that guy again. But if I'm that guy again, it's going to be ferocious. I'm ferocious. I don't want to say I want to eat people's children no more. I got children now. I got to tell her, you got to be careful. Floyd Mayweather, he's a scared little man. He's a scared little person. I love that response. But watching Ricky Williams after the suspension and the missed season and the bounce back year, it was hard. Because you knew he was running because he had to pay back signing bonus. Miami is my squad, and I know it's business, but man. And then sports talk shows. We're making fun of him, talking so much shit about him because he didn't go to prison, he didn't get arrested or anything like that and go to jail. He didn't have any charge. He just kept testing positive in the league. People have to remember, when you test positive, I believe it's the first 2 times, it's not made public. You have to go through, everybody's under a gag order. You have to go through some type of rehab for it or some type of meetings or something like that for some type of therapy for it. So the first 2 times. So in 2004, when he retired, the night before Dave Wannstedt, when he called Dave Wannstedt, told Dave Wannstedt he's about to get on a plane to South Asia and that he was retiring from the NFL, Ricky Williams had just got notice that he failed his 3rd test and that he's going to be suspended anyway. As old folklore goes, that's what happened. Not right there at the airport. Maybe a day or 2 prior to that. I guess they hadn't gotten to Dave at that time. They had been notified. It might have been told that day. He's like, you know what? I'm out of here, man. I'm getting on the computer. I'm getting online. I'm finding me a ticket. I'm getting the hell out of here, man. I can't do this. He knew he pissed dirty, probably. He had already been caught twice. He already pissed dirty twice. The optics were he was a bad guy, he was a bad teammate, he was selfish, he didn't think about his team, he didn't think. We would never say that about anybody today. To wrap this all the way back down to Sha'Carri Richardson, this is, people are saying, let her run. Hashtag let her run. But when it was Ricky Williams, it was this, and we always have known what weed has been, but when it was Ricky Williams, it was a smear campaign. And it killed him. It got him, like, it pretty much took him out of the league. We were cheated out of what Ricky Williams was really going to be. We were cheated out of Ricky Williams. 5'10", 226. Ricky Williams, he's just over the threshold, but he's a 10,000-yard back. Even with missing time, he would easily be a 13, 14,000-yard back if he didn't miss that time. Missed 04, retired, came back in 05, had 168 carries, 743 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Then he got suspended again for another weed violation in 07 coming. That was in 06. In 07 he came back. 1 game, 6 carries, 15 yards, got suspended again. 08 comes back, 106 carries for 659. In 09, 241 carries. He was back over 1,000 yards at 11:21. He had 11 touchdowns and almost 5 yards a carry. So he was building himself back. That was with the Wildcat. That was with Ronnie Brown. He was split time with Ronnie Brown. It was still pumping out those type of yards. And that was his last year there. But before, when Ricky was smoking, I have some numbers for you guys. In 02, he ran for 383, 1853, 16 touchdowns, 94 first downs with 116 yards a game. I mean, Ricky ran stupid that season. That was the Buffalo game year. Do you remember? Does anybody remember when he said that was the first time he saw snow in his life? He had never seen snow before. On TV and stuff, like he went out and ran for like 236 on the Bills. Tore them up. Like Ricky Williams was a great running back. But the 03 year, if you guys remember that, when he came back that following year, 392, 1372, 9 touchdowns. He had 50 catches and 351 that year. So coming off of the year in 03, now in 03, he led the league in touchdowns, yards, and carries, and average. It was surprising he didn't win MVP. And I believe Miami went 10-6 that year, 9-7. 9-7. We lost a late game of the year to New England in the snow. Defensive struggle. Quarterback threw a pick 6 to Teddy Bruschi, like inside the 10. Teddy stepped right in front of him and took it, and then high stepped into the end zone. It was 6-3, and this was in the fourth quarter, and that killed the game right there. And Miami ended up losing that game, falling to 9-7, and missing the playoffs. But the year before that, the 383, the 1853, the 16 touchdowns, Ricky was just really coming into his prime. Listen to his college numbers. As a freshman in 95, he was 166 with 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, but he had a total yards of 1214 with some receiving yards. 96 as a sophomore, 205, 1271, 12 touchdowns, 1563 total. 97, 279, 1893 on the ground, 25 touchdowns, over 2,000 yards total offense. And in 98, the Heisman year, 361, 2124, 27 touchdowns, 2,400 total yards. That's what, there's not a back giving us that in college football right now. And more people will say, well, it's because it's, running back by committee now. And that's why the same teams are going to keep winning. We're going to see this dominance, especially in college football. You better find you a bell count back. Find you a receiver, get you a line, get you a defense, and a smart quarterback, and then turn the ball over. If you can't pay for it and buy it like we know some of these schools do, then you don't have a shot. But if you can, that's what you have to do to build. But you better get back to running backs. We don't see running backs putting numbers up like this anymore. Reggie Bush's name has been in the press lately because he wants his Heisman back. And I went back and I looked at some of Reggie Bush's numbers, and it was like, wow, you know what? This kid was seriously just super legit. And I knew it back then, but to go back and see it now, and go back and read it, and go back and just look at numbers, and then you go back and watch some old clips on YouTube. And I went and watched about 2 weeks ago, I watched the Notre Dame game, the Bush Push game, where Reggie Bush pretty much carried them in hostile environment on the road in a big rivalry game early in September and just carried them, made all the big plays, including pushing in Leinart for the win. After Notre Dame stopped them, it's 4th and 9 or whatever it was. Dwayne Jarrett, gets open. He's not really open. The defensive back doesn't turn and find the ball. If he turns and finds the ball, game over. The USC run we never even see. We never get to Vince in the Rose Bowl. Well, we might have got to Vince in the Rose Bowl, but it wouldn't been against USC. That was that season. USC had to get out of had to work their way out of some miracles that year. Remember, USC's already coming off the national championship of blowing out Oklahoma. So everybody knows who they are. They're the top dog. So they got everybody's best shot. But the optics on Ricky was he didn't care and he was this weed smoker. And it's always criminalized or put down when it's African Americans. When it's anybody else, it's okay, they need help, they need therapy. Hope he gets the right help that he needs and things of that nature. And it really pissed me off because I knew back then they had a black athlete that they can go after with a big name, and they did. And I hated it. I hated every minute of it. And I said, well, the guy deals with anxiety. He's already been forced to tell y'all about that. He used to do interviews with his helmet on, with his shield when he was in college and when he first got to the league because he just didn't want all the cameras. He was just a different dude. And he's probably hiding the fact that, I'm high as shit right now. I know Ricky was smoking the good stuff. Now Ricky's like, I'm high as shit right now. I do not want to be here. I just want to play football. That's all I want to do. And Mike Ditka traded an entire draft for him, just bought more of that attention for him. But when he got to Miami, Ricky said he wasn't the one to Heisman. He was smoking in college. And I'm sure somebody in Austin knew. He was smoking in college. So when I look at the way optics are delivered in sports sometimes, it pisses me off. It really does. The LeBron James debate, right? LeBron is a great player. I've never said he's not. Everybody knows I don't like LeBron. I don't have to like everybody. He's just not my dude. I don't like him. I'm allowed to not like him. You're allowed to not like me. I'm allowed to not like you. And it don't have to be no beef. It ain't got to be no hater. Maybe we don't vibe. Maybe our energies don't flow together. You don't have to like me. That's cool. I don't have to like everything that everybody else likes. That make me a hater. I see things differently when it comes to sports sometimes. I see fake shit. Or I see posturing. Or I see a flopper. But it's still a great player. Still one of the top 10 guys I ever saw if I had to keep it a buck. Now, I know we could throw the era argument out there, but I wish that would go away because we didn't used to say that. It was just simple, Magic, Jordan, Kareem, Will, Big O. Now people are like, well, Will didn't win enough. And Will had a 50 and 25 year. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. That's what I get tired of. And I think a guy like LeBron, he feeds into that. If he were to distract it and go, listen, you guys need to stop. Even my fans, listen. Mike was in a different era. Kobe was kind of in a different era for me. This is my era. But I can respect that. Jordan did the same thing. Jordan has never called himself the GOAT. But everybody kind of feels like he is. He didn't have to. He didn't have to do that. And guys that have to do that, you're not. It's like the pretty girl that has always got to tell you how pretty or how fly she is. Who are you trying to convince? You or me? Because I don't really give a shit. You giving up them jobs? No, I'm just joking. I'm just playing. I don't care. We making some bad decisions. We playing just the tip. 10 pumps. I used to call it 10 pumps. That was my strategy in high school, my early 20s. Like, let me just 10 strokes. If you don't like it by that. I'm dead serious. Don't nobody take that from me either, man. I'm dead serious. I'm going to put that in a comedy script one day. Dead serious. 10 pumps. That was my shit. I used to love that. But yeah, man, the way optics are in sports, and just to finish on LeBron, and then we'll move on. He's 4-7 in the finals. We never used to look at losing records as a plus because of who you played with, who you played against. Jerry Russ is 1-7, but we don't never be like, well, yeah, man, but shit, he was playing against such and such and such and such and such and such. We don't never do that for Jerry West. We don't never do that for Elgin Baylor. We don't never do that for Charles Barkley. We don't never do it for Patrick Ewing. We don't never do it for John Stockton. We don't never do it for Gary Payton. We don't do it for Sean Kemp. We don't do it for Penny Hardaway. But when LeBron came around, the optics were he's the GOAT, he's the chosen one, he's the this, he's the that. That's what the optics, because they pushed it and they made it. The fact of the matter is, you are under 500. Yeah, you ran into some hard luck where teammates got hurt. That's part of the game. Doesn't mean you get a pass for it, because it's happened to a lot of other great players. Like, going against Jordan should kind of, like, in my opinion, raise where Patrick Ewing is on the all-time list. Raise where Gary Payton is on the all-time list. Stockton, Malone, Reggie Miller. I think it should, because you had to go through Jordan, especially if you were in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, at least you knew you had a shot to get to the finals. You had a shot. There was no guarantee it was always going to be Utah. People thought Phoenix was better one year. People thought the Spurs were better one year. It wasn't always just locked in that it was going to be Utah coming out of the West. So in the West, you had a shot. But in the East, you had no shot. And it wasn't because the team got stacked. It wasn't because Jordan tried to move guys. It wasn't because Jordan was passive aggressive. It's because Jordan took people like crazy-ass Scottie Pippen, who, if you didn't play with Jordan, listen, somebody was going to play with Jordan at some point, guys. It was you, Scottie. You should just kind of take that and ride with that forever, bro. Like, you don't have to say anything. The fact that you were in those pictures, you were on those teams, and you got the 6 rings too. And even in his Hall of Fame speech, he goes, there's no 6 rings without Scottie Pippen. Like, you got your props. Jordan ain't gonna kiss your ass. But the simple fact that, like, all these guys had to go through Mike, I think they should be raised up the list. If you think about, like, the Western Conference from 2000 to 2014, you had to go through Kobe or Duncan. Take your pick. And then Nash got splashed in there. Dirk got splashed in there. Portland got splashed in there. Sacramento got sprinkled in there. The Rockets got sprinkled in there. Oh, the Nuggets draft Carmelo Anthony. They add Chauncey Billups, who's won a championship and is a finals MVP. Up, here comes Allen Iverson in the trade too. And we're off to the Western Conference Finals. Jordan, like, locked shit down. But we want to say that LeBron's Jordan and better than Jordan. The optics, because the way things will look is, oh, yeah, he is. Look, he's a team first. He'll make the right play. He'll pass. He's going to have this many points, this many rebounds, this one. Yeah, but the optics are, it's a softer league. Anybody, like, listen, I like Russ Westbrook, but 3 straight triple-double seasons? Nobody boxes out. Jeff Van Gundy says it all the time. He says it all the time when he's commentating the games on ESPN. Nobody blocks out. So if you're aggressive to the board, you can get a board's game. LeBron plays down on the block anyway. He stands there. So any bounce off shot his side is his board. You're going to get 4 or 5 of those. And then if you go get 2 yourself, there's your 7. He's a 27-7-7 guy. 4 or 5 of them rebounds. If you just stand on the box, they're coming to you. Or you can just attack. And that's Westbrook. That's how you can average 10 boards a game. He attack. And a lot of times, so he'll get 3, 4 of them that'll bounce to him, but he'll go get 6 more himself. That's how you get to 10. Nobody's boxing anybody out. So the numbers are skewed. The numbers are skewed in basketball. They keep changing the rules. When things are put onto officiating where the barometer where things are judged is so wide, like, I don't know what a charge is anymore. I don't know what a block is anymore. I don't know what a foul on a 3-point shooter is anymore. I don't know what a flagrant 1 is anymore. I used to know exactly what each of these things were, and I don't know what they are anymore. That in itself is like, oh man, the game is like, how could you really judge? But you can still say nope, he's a great player. Kevin Durant's still a great player. Steph Curry's still a great player. James Harden's still a great player. Afro Reed, still a great player. Like, I can still do that, but there's no one that plays today, maybe other than Steph, because he has changed the game. When you change the game, that elevates you up the list of the top 10 or 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever. It elevates you up that list when you change the game. Jordan changed the game, and then he never lost in the finals. So it's like, oh, well, damn, he's number 1. because he changed the game on and off the court. Steph Curry's changed the way the game is. Steph Curry helped eliminate the center position. Who in what sport where a position was ever eliminated by one guy? I know there's no fullbacks in the NFL anymore. They're not really recruited in college. The fullback position is kind of gone, but not one player made that happen. Steph Curry pretty much made teams go, damn, we need everybody to shoot threes. No more centers, no more Dwights, no more Mutombos, no more Ewings, no more Mornings, no more Shaqs. No more Olajuwons, no more Robinsons, no more even Rick Smiths. You know what Rick Smiths of like today is? Jokic, the Joker, Nicolia. That's like a deadlift shrimp. That's who he is. Deadlift shrimp cabal. European, came over here in the league, was on finals teams. They didn't win no championship, but was on finals team, 2 finals teams. I think he was on the Pacers final team against the Lakers, and I know he was on the Supersonics finals team against Mike and the Bulls. Mike and the Bulls went up 3-0. Pain. When they put me on them, in the last dance, Mike was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. But the optics are, he's the GOAT, he's the this, he's the that. Today, you could kind of do a lot of other things on the outside, and then people try to wrap that around the other topic that you're talking about. He's a great father, he's a great husband, and never got in trouble. There's a lot of black athletes that are great fathers, great husbands that never got in trouble. Why are you using it for an argument to talk about just this player's game? You don't use that for the argument to talk about another player's game. Like, why are we doing it for? That's part of my problem with it. That's factual. That's the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is the top 10 player of all time. But he's not Mike. He's not Kobe. He's not Magic. He's not Bird. He's not Kareem. He's not Wilt. He's just not. Oh, LeBron could play in that age. We don't know. We don't have him a McLaren. You know what I'm saying? Doc Brown, Marty McFly. None of that shit really exists. Great movies. Do you guys know I've never seen Back to the Future 3? I saved it and I keep wanting to go watch it, but I'm always afraid I'm gonna be disappointed by it for some reason. And I feel like I got my fill with 1 and 2 over my lifetime. Went back to the old West. I'm not a big old Western movie guy. You know, they don't make a lot of them, right? It's kind of the generation before me. I think the last good one was Tombstone. Tombstone was dope. And even Tombstone, I tell you this, I thought Young Guns was better. I thought Young Guns was better than Tombstone. Everybody liked Doc Holliday because he was just this tough, the kidney killing him dude running around still shooting people. But I always thought I like Young Guns, man. Young Guns 2 was okay. They were just trying to get some money in, you know, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but of course people go back to get the money. But maybe they thought it was a good idea. I was like, Young Guns 2 was okay, but Young Guns, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Lou Diamond Phillips. That joint was wasn't Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's also in that. It's a classic. All right, so moving on. I want to talk about some of the Hall of Fame stuff that's been going on that I was so privileged to be part of. Yesterday, the media availability for the NFL Hall of Famers that are coming up. They got 2 classes this year because they didn't get a chance to do it last year. So the 2020 goes in on Saturday night and the 2021 goes in on Sunday night. There's the parties on Thursdays and Fridays. I might get out there. I'm not sure yet. Tickets are nothing to get into the event. They still got tickets available. The most expensive ticket I saw was $69. So $69. But it's the flight, hotel, and kind of not last minute, but that's less than a month. It's on the 7th and the 8th. But the last tour, because they want to get the place ready for the Hall of Fame players to be able to go through, some of the media to be able to go through. The last tour's on the 31st. So if I go, I've got to leave on the 30th to get there 31st to do the tour. But then I'm out there for another 7 days. I can't do that. And I know absolutely nobody in the state of that part of Ohio. So I was able to do the Zoom yesterday and day before, and then today I will also be on the Zoom. Today we have Drew Pearson, John Lynch, Tom Flores, Alan Fanigan, and Megatron Calvin Johnson. But I was able to talk to Steve Hutchinson, Edgerrin James, Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning, Donnie Shell, Troy Polamalu, and Jimmy Johnson. So I just wanted to talk about that experience and talk about some of these players and where they rank. First of all, I'll start right with Charles Woodson, who everybody knew was first ballot. I believe he was unanimous, and I'm not sure if they count unanimous, but that's what I'm going to tell my kids when they get old enough and start to understand that he was unanimous. 65 interceptions, 1,200 tackles, 20 sacks, 11 touchdowns. His tackles are 27th all time. Like, think about that. Is a defensive back who's 27th all time in tackles. His interceptions is 5th all time. He went 16-16, which is 16 games, 16 starts, 10 times in his career, 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year. He's won every award in college. I don't even feel like naming those. Won the Heisman as a defensive player in college, beating out Peyton Manning, who it was supposed to be Peyton's year. He was a senior. Like, it was, they pushed all the chips in the table to Peyton. Still couldn't beat Florida. Still couldn't get the Florida win, but they pushed all the chips in the middle of the table for Peyton Manning that year, and Charles Woodson beat him out. Charles Woodson comes as the number 4th overall pick to the Raiders, automatically starts, wins Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, defensive outstanding defensive player of the year, or whatever the title is for the rookie side of it. I know they do NFC and an NFC for that, for offense and defense. Won that, has the Super Bowl. I mean, changed the defensive backfield for the Raiders and for Green Bay when he went up to Green Bay. And just to be able to talk to him and hear him talk to the other people asking the questions was a real big treat. I couldn't keep the smile off my face. Got some Michigan questions out there because that's what I really focused on. I knew he was going to get asked a lot about Raiders and a lot about Green Bay, and he did. So I was more interested in the Michigan stuff and the Heisman Trophy win. Him being a defensive player, which he adamantly stated today, I'm a defensive player. They're gonna say, oh well, he plays on offense. He said, no, I play. He's an offensive player too. He said, no, I ran some plays on offense. I'm a defensive player, and it was cool to hear him say that today and just put that to an end himself of how he feels about when he hears people say that or when people say that. Because now you can say, well, trust me, Charles Woodson saying that. Y'all ain't got no damn, I ain't no offensive player. I'm a defensive player, period. But I stand on my soapbox of VJ's unsportsmanlike conduct. I stand on my soapbox as the Big Vanilla Funny, the Vanilla Shack, the Creamy Kobe, the Blue Eye Barkley. Y'all know all the nicknames, man. And you heard what I said about Serena earlier. I got another one for you guys. And I don't do takes. I give you hardcore fact, truth opinions. Charles Woodson is the greatest complete defensive back of all time. Not just corner, say complete defensive back. Charles talked today about every week going into the game plan when he was in Green Bay, he could be on the 1, he could follow the 2, because they had Tramon Williams and they had another defensive back. I can't think of his name, but they had Tramon Williams was the other corner, and Nate Collins was the safety. So that was their 3-headed monster back there. But they moved Charles around. He talked about how I play in the slot one week or another week I never knew I was going to play until I got the game plan. What other corner in the history of the game can you say that about and still was as effective as he was? Once again, the 20 sacks, the 1,200 tackles. He's a defensive back, and he's 27th all time in tackles, people. 27th. There are over thousands of men that have played in this league, and you got a defensive back. There's a 27. And just to compare, a lot of people try to say a guy like Troy Polamalu is better. And I had Troy. We had Troy on the Zoom today too. That was really fun to watch because you could see how zen he is. Troy Polamalu was great. He's in such a zen, man. He's out here in California. He hasn't even gone back to Pittsburgh. He apologized to one of the Pittsburgh writers for, I haven't been back. We want to try to get back. And you would think, he goes back and forth all the time, goes to watch the Pittsburgh, and that's why I play. He has so removed himself from football, and he's so zen. It was really dope, man. He had Buddha and some other fountains and shit on the back wall behind him. He was really cool to speak to today, too. But he had 783 tackles. That's 500 less tackles than Charles Woodson. 32 interceptions. Yeah, you're 33. You're 33 short there. Like, it's not close. Charles Woodson is the greatest defensive back of all time. I know there's Deion Sanders. I know Deion played one side, followed the number 1 guy. He was locked down. He was tall. He was flashy. Deion was a guy I always thought, and I'm not knocking his skill set and where he places, But to me, he might be the best corner of all time. Cornerback all time. He's not the best defensive back of all time. He ain't never really played safety like that. I think maybe he did when he was late in his career at with the Ravens, but he had to. Where was he going to play? Couldn't play corner. He wasn't going to play corner. They had two young corners that were doing their thing. He was an old guy. And you still got Ray Lewis. And you had all them big hog mollies on the defensive line up front. You know, they were still applying pressure. Suggs was a young buck coming in. He was getting pressure on the quarterback. They still had Ray Lewis in the middle. So an older veteran that's still savvy, still keeps himself in shape and still can move and get around, could play safety and make it look good. But you got a lot of pieces going on. Remember, optics got a lot of pieces going on in front of you. But Charles Woodson is the greatest complete defensive back that has ever played this game. And it's not even close, man. Jimmy Johnson, he was a fun talk to, too, because Jimmy talked about the control that he had and the control that he gave his staff. Like, he sent guys out scouting. He sent guys to go do. Jimmy was the first guy that was really doing that a lot. Other teams and other franchise scouting departments, Jimmy was sending his position coaches to places. And he told, I sent guys here. I sent guys there. I wanted to scout myself. I did all my recruiting himself when he was at Arkansas and when he was at Oklahoma State before he got the Miami job. And when he was at Oklahoma State, remember, he had Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. He left that to go build a legacy and build a program back up or build a program up in the University of Miami. He went and took that job. He said today that he went and took that job without even going down there to visit. He hadn't even gone down there and seen it. He hadn't even gone down there and talked to anybody. He got the offer for the job. He wanted the job. He took it. But Jimmy Johnson is the guy that I look at and I go, do we really give Jimmy Johnson credit as far as where we rank him or where we put him of great coaches of all time? Jimmy Johnson, he could be top 5 of NFL coach. He could be. The optics would say, well, he only had the 2 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. Yeah, but he's like a Bo Jackson, right? He kind of got ran out, not to his doing. Bo Jackson got hurt his hip. He didn't want to get hurt and hurt his hip on purpose. It just happened. But Jimmy Johnson did win those 2 Super Bowls. His first year there, they were 1-15. He talked about, there were so many dope stories today, man. He talked about how he was out with Dave Weinstein and his old coaching staff. They were out to dinner, just finished the season. And he looked at everybody. He goes, listen, God, just stick with me. I know this was a bad year. This is an ugly year. He goes, just stick with me. But he told those guys the same thing when they were in Miami together. Just stick with me and just do what I need you to do and do your part. We're going to win some national championships. And they did. And he told them when they got to Dallas, you do your part, blah, blah, blah. We're going to win some Super Bowls. And they did. But he talked about the power that he had and then the power that he delegated. True leader. Natty championships, Super Bowls. Listen. The Herschel Walker trade he talked about too. This was the best part of his whole 30-minute media availability session today. Is that he said it's really overblown because they said it wasn't about these picks. He goes, we got players, but it turned right around and traded those guys off for picks. So it turned into picks from Herschel Walker, but it wasn't initially picks. He said he got a quarterback he got a quarterback from him that was older. He got a defensive lineman that had a hurt knee. Yeah, I'll take you too. And he said he even drafted Steve Walsh coming out of Miami, but he said he even drafted him knowing he was going to trade him. And that all turned into picks, and that's how they got Aikman. They moved up to get Emmitt Smith. And they got Darren Woodson and Larry Allen and Irvin and Novacek and Moose Johnson. Like they really built that team. You bring in Alvin Harper through free agency. Harper comes in there from Tampa Bay. And they go in there and they win 2 Super Bowls. And they go in and they win 2 Super Bowls in dominating fashion. Like it wasn't close. And they knock off great Giant teams and great Philly teams and great San Francisco teams. They ain't run over no bums. They go on the road. People forget. Dallas goes on the road and wins an AFC championship game in I'm in San Francisco. They won a national. They won a conference championship game there. Like those battles between those Niners team and those Cowboys team. Jimmy Johnson was the head of all of that.
Then he comes down to Miami, and I'm a Dolphin fan. When he came down, I was super excited, and that was my question that I had for him today was, what was it like to coach Dan Marino? I was super excited you were coming because I knew we were getting the best coach in football. He drafted Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Patrick Surtain, Sam Madison. Zach should be in the Hall. Jason's already in the Hall. He built that defense. Tried to do the offense too, but it just wasn't his thing. Didn't have the Norv Turner. Didn't have Norv Turner like he had Norv Turner in Dallas. Norv Turner was his offensive coordinator in Dallas. And him and Norv Turner and Aikman. Aikman speaks, you know Aikman speaks eons highly about Norv Turner, but he didn't have that in Miami. You had Dan Marino, drafted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, running back out of UCLA. Never had 1,000 yards in the NFL. Just didn't pan out. O.J. McDuffie, another guy too, but he was so, like, think about it, like he found O.J. McDuffie at Penn State. Jimmy Johnson did. And O.J. McDuffie ended up being a Dolphin, just sturdy, always there, durable, reliable. I don't know why we don't give him more credit. Also today got a chance to speak to Edgerrin James. That was fun too. Edgerrin James talks like he's just still like back in the neighborhood, right? His demeanor didn't change. He didn't get Hollywood. And normally South Florida guys, they like a lot of bling and a lot of Boondocks booty butt, a lot of Thugnificent booty butt cheeks. That's a Boondocks reference. Y'all don't watch Boondocks, the animated cartoon joint. I love it. I fall asleep to it some nights. I love it. But Thugnificent had a Smash Club hit, booty butt cheeks on that joint. And plenty, they like all of that down there from South Florida. He just seemed to be a different guy. Remind me a lot of Fred Taylor. Him and Fred Taylor kind of remind me of each other. But today, watching him talk and experiencing that, he was the same. He took his availability today from his car. Like he didn't try to fresh it up or sit in front of the computer at the house with all the trophies and the plaques in the background. I've seen a lot of that the last few days. A lot of the trophies, even the guys that are in the media that are doing it, they're Emmys. And I ain't gonna front. I want me. The other day I was like, yo, how do you want to? I can win an Emmy doing this. You're going to Emmy doing sports talk and anchoring and sports and television and coverage and news and journalism. I'm a broadcast journalist. You can win an Emmy. I was like, damn, you know what? I want an Emmy. I don't want to just finish my bachelor's, which I'm doing now. Alabama State, what up? I don't want just my master's degree, which I'm going to go after right after that. I want an Emmy. So, but Edgerrin wasn't around none of that. He was in his car. And he ain't even had no AirBuds in or the AirPods that are cordless. He had the straight up old white iPhone holding it too, laying back. Yeah, my career was great because I was able. I mean, it was so dope, man. But Edgerrin James, only one All-Pro. I don't get that. But he was on the Hall of Fame 2000 team, 4-time Pro Bowler, over 3,000 carries, 12,246 and 80 touchdowns. His rookie year, I asked him about that today. His rookie year, 369, 15, 53. My question to him was, how did you transition so seamlessly? Because before him was Otis Anderson and Alonzo Highsmith. But right after him, he kind of set the pace for Gore, Portis, McGahee. And they were all the same kind of backs. They all came into the league, and Gore's still playing. Think about that. Frank Gore came into the league after Edgerrin James. Gore's still playing. All those other guys are gone, retired, doing something else. Clem Portis does Sports Talk TV and radio, I believe, back home in D.C. I know he's very involved in D.C. I have no idea what Willis McGahee is doing, but he kind of set the tone for them. And when he came into the league, man, 369, 1553, 13 touchdowns. The carries and the yards led the league as a rookie. And they had just drafted Peyton Manning the year before. So the following year in the first round, in their top pick, they add Edgerrin James. They add the running back. This is before, this is after Marshall Faulk has moved on. Marshall Faulk's gone on now. They bring in Edgerrin James and plug Edgerrin James in. And man, even that rookie year, 62 catches, 586, 4 touchdowns. Just so steady, and it just got my mind going back through memories of him, even at the U. Edgerrin James, I don't think we talk about as much as a great of a running back as he was. And this happens around Hall of Fame time, because that's what's so cool about Hall of Fame. It gives you a reflection, and I think we all love nostalgia at some point. I mean, I'm sitting here with my beautiful Purple Rain t-shirt on. This is nostalgia. this album means something to me. It's not just songs and lyrics. Like, this album means something to my life. Like Midnight Marauders by Tribe Called Quest, it means something to my life. Ready to Die means something to my life. There's albums that mean something to people's life. Music does that. It's a nostalgia feeling. Brings you back a little bit. Takes you away from all the modern day bullshit that we deal with and go through every day. That's what the Hall of Fame does, man. And talking to Edrin, it was just such a pleasure. His answer to my question, which I'll record off the website and post, was that when they were in college, it was like a demand that you block. Like, if you get blocked, and he said, the offensive coordinator used to say, offensive coach, running backs coach, said, if you don't block, you don't play. Period. He didn't care how fast you were. You can hit the whole home run hit if you did not block. So they demanded it when he was in college. He said that helped him in his transition. Because I always say that I believe running back is the easiest position in any sport to translate from college to pro. In any sport across the board. Because it's a lot of get ball, see hole, run. See defender, shake. See defender, I'm bigger, run over. Stiff arm. It's not a lot of rocket science. But pass protection is where you get rookies. And even last year, right? Cam Akers, banged up a little bit. Got to get your NFL body going, coming from college. Didn't go through a bunch of big banging defenses at Florida State when he was there. There's not a lot of that in the ACC. So when you get to the NFL and you're with the Chargers and it's the Chiefs twice, the Broncos twice, the Raiders twice, who's got pretty, well, except for the Raiders, their defense is fucking horrible. But it doesn't matter. Still an NFL guy's hitting you. Takes a minute. Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin up at Indianapolis Colts. Took about week 7, week 8. But you get it, and it starts to turn. But a lot of that, too, also was not great at blitz pickup. And you got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield nowadays. He talked about how it was like demanded in college, so therefore it was easy for him to transition to in the league. So that was fun. Another throw for me today, too. Another Michigan guy, Steve Hutchinson. I got a question in. Steve Hutchinson also, too, man. Legendary guard at Michigan that was after Jansen, that led the way for Jake Long and Ruiz, who's with the Saints right now, and Lawan, Backus, and then before them, even all the way back to Dan Deerdorf. Like, it's O-line U over a period of time of about 30 years at Michigan, and he was part of that kind of took it from Jansen and his era and pushed it through to the league also too. And Jansen had a nice career with the Washington Redskins. He was a Pro Bowler too, 7-time Pro Bowler, 5 times All Pro. He's actually on the Hall of Fame 2000s team. He had 3 seasons of no holding, and I told him, I said, you were so consistent, and you set that example for the guys that were coming behind you. He only had 9 holding calls his entire career. He had 3 years of no holding calls. Think about that. 3 years of no holding calls. 16 to 16, 8 years. That's durability and consistency. And once again, the legacy of the O-line that he left. My question to him was, how did he feel being that type of guy and being one of the better, and being probably one of the best linemen ever come out of Michigan? And he's like, well, thank you for that. But he quickly reverted the question and gave credit to John Jensen, that was before him, Deerdorf back in the day before them, back in the 70s, and Deerdorf came into the NFL. And then there's also been a great color guy for CBS over the last, 20, 25 years. So, but to get another Michigan guy, me being the Michigan guy that I am to talk to today, that was a huge thrill. Yesterday, I got a chance to talk to some people too. We had Bill Cowher yesterday. I got to Bill Cowher yesterday. I'm trying to figure who else was on yesterday. There was Bill Cowher, and I want to say it was a receiver or a defensive back yesterday. But anyway, yesterday was also another great day. Tomorrow I will be on again. It'll be today also. Oh, Peyton Manning. That was also fun. How the hell did I forget about Peyton Manning? I'm sorry. Yes, Peyton Manning also today. That was a ton of fun hearing his stories. Picked his dad because he said his dad, although he never coached him, his dad always helped him, was the biggest influence on his game and becoming a quarterback. And his dad was never a pushy guy. He like the rule was, and I love this rule if you're a sports dad, is you have to ask me. You have to come ask me, but I am happy to do it. And I'm going to give it 110% as long as you give it 110%. But I'm not going to be that dad. Hey, come on, guys, let's go outside and throw the ball around. Hey, guys, let's lift. Let's work out. Let's do that. You have to come ask me, which lets you know how competitive and how focused and committed he really was to being a great quarterback. Because a lot of times I see when parents tell their kids that, their production drops. Because kids you have to be told a lot of things. But he wanted it so bad. I don't have to be told to write. I don't have to be told to do radio. I don't have to be told to do my show here. I don't have to be told to come up with all my notes. I don't have to. No one has to remind me to do that shit. I want it that bad. That's why I know I'm going to be that great at it. And no one's got to tell me to study. I know I'm getting my degree. No one's got to tell me certain things. So you're going to be great at it if you have the passion and you have the work ethic. So I let you know that his work ethic played in his attention to detail. I mean, Peyton Manning is the chess piece quarterback of chess piece quarterback. Omaha! Like, seriously, right? Then, on the flip side, he's great in his commercials, and he's great with his endorsements that he does. And I learned today that he still does work with a hospital in Indianapolis, and that the fact that he lives in Colorado, I didn't know that. I thought he lived back east, or in Indianapolis, or back in Louisiana, which he calls Louisiana home, but he lives still in Colorado. Not in Denver, but he's out in Colorado, and threw the idea around today that he's interested if it comes available to be in the front office or go help the Broncos. And I was just floored by that because no one's reported that. No one's put that out. I don't have to go and tweet it and shit. It's one of them things. I heard it. I was there. So I know. Maybe not everybody else does, but I know. But he has some great stories too. Just about the game of football and how competitive him and his brothers were, and that he was really down when he got hurt and he had the neck and missed the whole season. He had no idea what was going to happen, and he saw that they were losing, and he said by the middle of that season, it started to play into his mind, okay, they're probably going to be looking to go another way because there's this Andrew Luck guy, and there's these other quarterbacks coming out of, and if they end up with the number one pick, which they did, draft Andrew Luck, which they did. You just say and it was peaceful, it was cordial, and we know the rest is history. And he talked about going to Denver and thanking Denver so much and Denver accepting him. Why wouldn't you accept Peyton Manning? You get Peyton Manning, right? You had John Elway, now you get Peyton Manning, and they both win Super Bowls for your franchise. Not a bad deal. But talked about that. Talked about helping out young quarterbacks now in the league and in college and high school. So his part was really dope and really chill too. Donnie Shell, we also talked to today, 5-time Pro Bowler, defensive back from the Steelers, Still Kurt. He's got 4 Super Bowl rings. He was there for the whole run out of HBCU, went to South Carolina State. 3-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 51 interceptions when they were only averaging like 17 passes a game. So he was a ball hawk. But he said it went hard where it was like, okay, where he had to cover back then. He was like, it was 1,000, 2 1,000, maybe close to 3. But by then, the Steel Curtain, Lambert, Mean Joe Green, those guys, they were in the backfield. They were sacking the quarterback or causing the quarterback to throw a dunk up, and it was easy interceptions. But he got 51 of them right now, which I believe is 32nd all time. And that's even amazing too because Night Train Lane, you think about his 68 in the 50s and 60s, like Dick Night Train Lane has 68 career interceptions. And that was in the 50s and 60s. They weren't throwing the ball in the 50s and 60s. So that in itself too was another kind of whoa moment talking and meeting him. And my question to him was about being from an HBCU and the transition and coming from a black college up to a city like Pittsburgh, which is blue collar, heavily white, in the 70s. And he said he pretty much just put his head down and just played football. He didn't worry about that too much. He knew that if he went out and played, they would like him. So that's real deep to get that type of access and that type of interview and question from a guy from the 70s. And I definitely wanted to really hinge on being from HBCU. So tomorrow we got Alan Faneca, Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman, all-time guy, and also too with the Jets. He's going into the Hall. Tom Flores also going to the Hall. These are all the guys that got in last year, but didn't get a chance to go. Their ceremony will be on Saturday night. Tom Flores, legendary Raiders coach, Super Bowl winner, first Latin American, Latin-born coach to coach an NFL team and win a Super Bowl. Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Super excited for that. Calvin Johnson, I'm not sure where he ranks. I just know he was just a badass. I just know I'm not sure where Calvin Johnson ranks. I just know he whooped everybody's ass that tried to cover him. Other than Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson, too, another cool thing. He talked about covering Calvin Johnson and Moss. He talked about Calvin Johnson and Moss. And I guess, right, somebody asked him who's a corner he looks at today that reminds him of himself, that plays like him and like has the goods to be as good as Charles Woodson was when his career is done. I said it before anybody. I said Jalen Ramsey. He thought before. He's like, I mean, Jalen Ramsey. He said, and as far as going to get the ball, he's like Xavier Howard out of Miami. So I was on with both. So he's saying, as far as going to get the ball, Xavier Howard. I know where you're going, man. Miami needs to figure that out too. I don't want to lose him because he does go and get the ball turnovers, more possessions. It's better for the offense. And when you're getting them on second and third plays of a possession, it's like a 3 and out. But now you got the ball without having to be punt. So that field position, Tua, Waddle, Fuller, Parker, Wilson. I'm excited this year for the Dolphins. I haven't been this excited for Miami football in a long time. And normally I try to temper my expectations because I've been let down so many times. This is the one year I said, you know what? You do the same thing, you get the same result. Definition of insanity. Change your thinking, change how you view it. They're changing. Miami's changing how they're working. Go from there. But Calvin Johnson, just superstar player, man. Megatron, 731, 11,619 yards, 83 touchdowns. He averaged 16 yards a catch. Like that's Drew Pearson type shit. Drew Pearson's also on tomorrow, too. Dallas Cowboy great. We'll go through his numbers in a second. 6-time Pro Bowler for Megatron. 8-time All-Pro. He's on the Hall of Fame 2010 teams. 3 times in his career, over 12 touchdowns. That 2012 year was just insane. 122 catches, 1964. 5 touchdowns, though. One thing I will want to ask him tomorrow, because I am moving into getting better as a journalist, that you got to ask the tough questions sometimes. You have to do it respectfully. You have to do it professionally. But I want to ask him about that year because when you think about 122 catches for only 1,964 yards and 5 touchdowns, 92 of those catches were for first down. How did he not get into the end zone more? And my question is going to be, the way I'm going to frame the question so it doesn't feel insulting, is in 2012, you had 122 catches. That's the 1,900 yard year, but only 5 touchdowns. How did you keep your cool when we see a lot of first guy receivers who would probably be making us think about not getting into the end zone? You were just so cool as a cucumber across the board. Never complained, never was showy, never was a me guy when you probably could have been, and maybe rightfully so because you were so great and probably the best receiver in the game at that time. How did you mentally just stay with it and say, listen, I'm going to just catch these balls and get these yards and get 92 first downs and help my team and do my part? How do you do that without being the me guy and got to get me the ball in the end zone, got to throw to me in the red zone type guy? Bam. Y'all see how I did that? Y'all see? Did y'all PV? Did y'all see? Come on, man. Come on, man. I lose some weight, man. My face got fat. I'm in quarantine, bro. I stepped on the scale the other day. New eating regimen, back working out and shit, but I got about 6 months. I gave myself 6 months. 6 months, shave like 60 off. Because I've done it before. So I know how my body reacts. I know how I got to do it. So, meaning, and also, too, stomach growling. So, we're going to wrap this up soon anyway. I had an hour and a half, too, man. That's a good length for a show. Anyway, but tomorrow, Alan Faneca, Tom Flores, Megatron. Once again, don't know where to really put Megatron, but 18 straight years where we started 13 or more games. 8 straight years where we started 13 or more games. So durability, and left early because he just got tired of losing. They wouldn't trade him and take care of him, i.e. Barry Sanders. John Lynch is also going into the Hall of Fame, or winning last year. So his ceremony is also coming up too, so I'll get a chance to talk to John Lynch tomorrow. My question will be for him is either going to be durability, because 11 times he started 14 of 16 games within a season. But he's a Stanford guy, and I want to know what the transition is like from being that headhunter, ball hawking safety to now this headhunter, talent hawking GM and front office guy. How do you transition keeping your competitiveness when you can't go on the field and physically do it. How has that process been for you? That's going to be my question for him tomorrow. If nobody else asks it, if he doesn't ask it, one of my two basic fallbacks are favorite guy that you used to love to play chess against in the NFL, quarterback, offensive coordinator, offensive minded coach. Who was the guy where that week was coming up? You were hyped because you knew you could do your thing. You knew you had your defense too, but you're a key cog. They got to know where 47 is too. And you look forward to that guy, that receiver, that quarterback, that coordinator. Who was that? That's always one of my fallback questions. And another easy one is who do you watch today? Who's the guy? And that's for the older. That's a good one for older players who are a little more removed from the game. That's a good question for them. So might watch that. Might be one of Drew Pearson's questions tomorrow because I know there's a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans were on for Harris yesterday. We had Cliff Harris on. I did Cliff Harris also yesterday too, man, who was a safety for them, won 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. So and he spoke about that yesterday. So Drew Pearson, 49 grabs, only 7,822 yards. They didn't throw the ball a lot back then. He's Hall of Fame 70s team, 16 yards a catch. Told you guys Megatron was doing Drew Pearson shit. 3 Pro Bowls, 3 times All-Pro, 48 touchdowns. They didn't throw the ball a lot, but he is the recipient of the very first fame-coined Hail Mary is Drew Pearson. So he is he is etched in history forever. And he's also a Cowboy, which is the most dominant symbol of sports ever. It's the most famous franchise other than the Yankees in sports ever. Yes, over the Celtics, over Manchester United, over the Lakers. I ain't talking about net worth. I'm talking about when you see it, you know what it is. When you see it, you know what it is. And there's more of it around than anything else. There's more Yankees or more stars on something than any other team in the world. Trust me on this. So he's part of that. So that'll be really cool to get a piece of that. Plus, my mom knows him. He's from Jersey. So my mom knows Drew Pearson. So I don't know if I want to bring that part of it up, but, those would be my questions and those guys that I will be talking to tomorrow. Haven't seen Game 4. We'll watch that after I make this chicken salad that I'm about to go in the kitchen and make right now, 3:33 a.m., man. So 6:33 for all my people back east. I work all hours, man. I work all times of the day. My man Nathan just checked in too on the IG, man. I've been on already for like an hour and a half, Nathan. You missed out, man. But you know how I do. I do it all times of day and night. So I haven't had a chance to watch Game 4 yet. So I'll check that out. So I don't know if it's 2-2 or if it's 3-1. Nobody put nothing on the screen, or I'll never have you on my show and be your friend again. I don't like when people ruin my sports. Now I know it's time for me to go because it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. I ain't ate, so I'm starting to ramble. So we're going to cut the show, man. Recap on the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. We talked about optics. LeBron, Jordan. Jordan's the best. We know that. Serena, 23 Grand Slams. She's not the greatest female tennis player or the greatest black tennis player. She's the greatest tennis player ever. Tiger Woods, the optics say that 15 majors are 3 short of Jack. But we know the wins, man. 8-8 at the Arnold Palmer to the WC. Bridgestone, 7 at the Invitational for Buick. 5-5-5 with the Masters Memorial and BMW Championship. Derek Jeter, a lot of people love to say, man, Derek Jeter is the main cog of those Yankees teams. I'm going to battle against that. 310 average career-wise. He's 211th in batting and home runs all time at 260. 105th in RBIs. 105th in stolen bases. 11th in runs. So he's up there in that category. But the optics are that he was one of the main players, but dominant pitcher for a decade, dominant hitting for a decade, best closer for a 15-year run, who is probably the best closer ever. And no salary cap, and an owner that was ruthless and would spend anything. Would Derek Jeter be the same player if he was with Seattle and you put Griffey on the Yankees? Be a different story, right? Put him on the who was bad. Put him on the Orioles. Switch him and Cal Ripken. Switch him and Ray Ordonez, who played shortstop for the Mets at that period. Take Ozzie Smith out of the 70s and put him on those Yankees teams. Doesn't Ozzie Smith go 5-1 too probably and win some World Series? No, Reggie Jackson, right? I mean, it's all about optics. I mentioned Jordan already. 6-0 in the finals. 6-0 finals MVPs. Didn't have to kind of run guys off. Punch teammates. And teammates were still there to knock down jumpers for him. He was a leader. He was ruthless as shit, but he was a leader. He was a winner. He was the best. He's the reason why certain guys don't have rings. And I think some of those guys probably should be elevated because they had to go against Jordan. Like, I think Ewing probably should be a little higher on your list. He got to a finals and then he ran into Olajuwon, but he didn't lose that game. His guard shot him out of the game. John Starks, Harper, was Mark Jackson on that team? His guard shot him out of the game. Bottom line. The wing players and the guard shot Patrick Ewing out of Game 6, and in Game 7, you got to come back and play in Houston on the road again. It's tough sledding, man. And these are the champions. They're the defending champions. The Knicks go up 3-2, man. That series is over. They're going to win that in 6. The Knicks are going to win a championship. Ewing's going to get a ring. If it wasn't for Jordan, would we know would Shawn Kemp be more than what we think? Would Gary Payton be more than what we value him as? Stockton, Malone, Reggie Miller. Think about the guys that Jordan stopped. He stopped guys' careers. The optics and the facts tell you he's the GOAT. Talked about Brady. First in touchdowns all time, 581. Second in yards. He needs 400 to pass number 1. He's going to get that this year. He'll be number 1 there. 79,204. Second in completions. He's like 50-something or 60-something, I believe, behind the guy in front of him, Drew Brees. Okay, cool. Well, he's going to pass that. 6,778 is where he sits right now. Second all time. Don't try to give me your optics of the kickers in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's the GOAT. It's as simple as that. And then we touched on Ricky Williams. The optics were this was a guy who didn't care. He was selfish. No, he was going through some shit, and y'all making money off weed right now anyway. He's like, I mean, you know, come on. The NCAA now lets players get paid for their likeness. You got players coming back now. Terrell Pryor tweeted out today, yo, so won't you give me back my Ohio State shit? Give me back my records, my trophies, and I'll give me back my shit. Like Reggie Bush wants his Heisman back. You guys are backtracking and y'all Indian giving now. Okay, well, give me my shit back too. Ricky Williams is like, yeah, man, you guys need to give me back my respect, man. I wouldn't have won the Heisman. How about this? How about this for you guys? I was smoking at Texas. I was smoking in Austin. Guess what? When I was smoking in Austin, sophomore year, 1271. Junior year, 1893. Senior Heisman Trophy year, all the networks on the school, all the money the school's raking in because I'm your running back. Tony Dorsett at the Texas A&M game when I break the record on a long run for a touchdown, not a little skippy run will fall forward. Like Emmitt Smith breaking his career breaking run is so uneventful because people know, number one, if Barry had that line, Barry would have, and if Barry didn't retire and had that line, Barry would have had it. Everybody knows that. But he fell forward and rolled. It was a shell of himself. Wasn't the same guy. Ricky broke a type of record where he is young and he is the man and he is a horse. And broke tackles and broke away against Texas A&M in a big-time rivalry game. The biggest in-state rivalry game in the state of Texas, which other than Southern California and South Florida, the biggest hotbed of football, Pop Warner, Pee Wee, ankle biters, midgets, middle school, YMCA, high school, college, and guess where the number one star in sports, emblem in sports resides? In the state of Texas. Ricky Williams everybody knew he was puffing trees there, but look what he was doing for your university. They have a problem with it then. Then the NFL, gets caught a few times, and journalists and radio shows and TV shows, they want to tear him down. They want to make the optics look like he didn't care. And that wasn't it at all. He's going through some things, anxiety, the same stuff that people now say they going through, so they get a little card. This is before dispensaries just let anybody walk in. Now, I saw somebody in the dispensary the other day. He's like, "Yeah, I'm from out of town." She's like, "That's fine. Do you have an out of town ID?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm from Iowa." I was like, "Damn, so you don't even have to just be from here. You can just come to California, go in the dispensary. As long as you got an ID, you can buy weed, and nobody's gonna castrate you for it." And we got cheated, man, because the best of Ricky was just warming up. The first year in Miami does okay. Give us some love. Gave us some yards, some touchdown. That second year in Miami, where Dave Wannstedt goes, okay, I'm about to ride this out. 383, 1853, 16 touchdowns, 94 first downs, 116 on the ground a game. Like 3 200-yard games that year. Ricky was just on fire. Come back the next year, 1372, 9 touchdowns, 50 catches, 351 through the air. And then got hit with the suspension, and rest is history. The optics will tell you they didn't care. The truth of the fact of the matter is he was going through some things, and he was just doing what y'all allow people to do now. He want his shit back too. But there was nothing that you took from him, like you took Reggie's Heisman Trophy. But everybody coming back, and they want their shit back, man. Want to appreciate everybody joining in live, man, on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, and StreamYard. This has been fun. It's been a while since I've been on. It's been about a week because I got so much other stuff going on. Just finished 2 classes. Just picked up 2 new classes. So within 1 year, I've already added 19 credits on 7 classes or 8 classes. I believe 7 classes. 8 classes. Yeah, 8 classes. In the last calendar year, I've taken 8 classes, added 8 classes towards my degree, and 19 credits. So, I'm on a roll, people. I'm on a roll, man. Also, too, big news for me coming up. Also, next Wednesday, July 21st, 4 p.m. Eastern Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be filling in for Brian Parker on Fox Sports Radio on The Odd Couple. So make sure y'all tune in and check that out, too, man. All right, that's it, man. I'm out. VJs on Sportsmanlike Conduct. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Y'all stay blessed, travel safe, and remember, it don't cost nothing to be nice. But it don't cause nothing to be bad neither. So y'all go be bad. Somebody go be bad. I can't be bad. I got too much going on. I'm not allowed to be bad. All right. Blessed.